Hello everyone, welcome to Jolly Molly TV. Today we're going to work on another fun block in Kimberbell's Pumpkins and Potions ladder quilt project. In today's video we're going to work on this really cute owl block right over here that you use like in a cake stand. It's going to be fun. So go ahead and grab your plastic pouch or plastic bag system that you have labeled owl, and let's head over to the machine and let's get started stitching. Okay, we're at the machine. I have a bobbin with white thread down below, and I'm using my 8" by 8" hoop, and I've placed a piece of the Poly No-Show Mesh Stabilizer in it. And let's go to the screen cam and load the design. Alright, I have a Baby Lock Destiny, which is identical to the Brother Dream machine. If you have something similar, you can follow along. I'm going to go to Embroidery. I'm going to go to the flash drive where I keep all my files, and I'm going to go to Pumpkins and Potions. And I'm looking for the quilting design first. And I'm looking for Halloween 9. And then I'm looking for a 6 by 6" design, which is right here. That's the one I'm looking for that has the pumpkins and the ghost and the 31 on it. That's going to be fun. So I'm going to click Set. And I don't have to do anything because it brought it in perfectly center. Now I'm going to add the main machine embroidery design on top of this. If you can't add, don't worry. Just go ahead and stitch out that quilting, clear your machine memory, and then load the main embroidery design and stitch that out. So I'm going to go back to Pumpkins and Potions. And I am looking for the owl. And here he is. That's the one. Perfect. So I'm going to click Set. It brings it in. It's perfectly centered. All I have to do is click Embroidery. And we're ready to start stitching. Okay, let's go back to the hoop cam. So I've loaded white thread in the top of my machine for right now to stitch out these first few steps. So let's put the foot down and go ahead and let's stitch out the placement line for the batting. Here we go. Alright, so now I want you to go to your pre-cut batting pile and pull out a piece of 7" by 7" batting. Okay, so now I'm going to lay my batting down. Get any extra thread off there. Lay my batting down. Okay, when you've got it in place, let's put the foot down and let's tack down this batting. Okay, so now I need you to take the hoop off the machine, and I want you to go over to your table and I want you to trim away all of this excess batting from all around the outside of that stitch line, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so now that that's all trimmed up, let's go ahead and put the foot down and stitch the placement line for the fabric. Okay, so now I need you to get your plastic pouch system out that you have labeled owl and pull all of the fabrics out from that and set these two smaller pieces to one side. This is my background fabric for the owl, and I have fused it with a piece of fusible to help support this fabric, and I'm going to lay it down. Now if you have directional fabric, make sure that your top of your fabric is facing here and your bottom of the fabric is facing here, because the owl is going to stitch from top to bottom. Okay, and then just kind of feel for the edge of the batting. And if you feel for the edge of the batting, you can really center your block up nicely without having to really fuss or measure. All right, so I'm going to put the foot down And I'm going to leave white thread up on the top of my machine because my fabric has white with black little dots on it. So I'm going to use white thread to tack it down. All right, you put your color thread up on top, and then let's tack down this fabric. I just want to say a huge thank you to Kimberbell for sponsoring me in this project and for providing the Pumpkins and Potions quilting bundle for me to use in this project. This quilting bundle is amazing. It is definitely something that you can look at in order to enhance this project. It comes with all of these amazing designs. You get a cauldron, you get a spider web, some happy ghosts that look like they have little glasses on. This border is amazing. I cannot wait to show you the borders. And you get this cool pumpkin and ghost and 31 on there. It's just a bunch of fun. So if you're able to get this quilting bundle, it's going to just make your project pop. The borders, I cannot wait. Look at these borders. There's 2 of them, and I'm going to try to incorporate both of them in this project. You get enough files in each of the designs to be able to do any combination of size that you could possibly think of for this project and our other projects. And you also get the block towel sizes for the clear blue towels quilting method as well in each of the designs. So I highly recommend, if you can do this, this is amazing. Please use the link in the description below to purchase the bundle from Kimberbell.com. Here comes decision time. We have an owl that's going to be on a stand with a piece of vinyl on top. What color would I want to quilt this in? I'm thinking I'm going to quilt it in white because I have polka dots in the background. The white's going to look good and will also show through the vinyl next to the owl. So I don't think I want anything too busy on this one. I'm going to quilt it in white. So you think about what you'd like to quilt your block with and put that thread on the top of your machine. And we're going to stitch out this quilting. It's a 5-minute in real life stitch out. Here we go and enjoy. That's very nice. Subtle, but if you look real close, you can see it. That's cool. All right, so now we need to switch our thread up. And this is the color of my stand. So I went and I found a color of orange thread that would look nice on that orange fabric. So I'm going to put orange thread up on the top of my machine. You do the same thing with your block. You need to pull out your stand fabric and then find a color thread that will look good with that and put that thread in the top of your machine. All right, and the next stitch is going to be a placement line for the stand. All right, let's put the foot down and let's stitch this out. Okay, so now I'm going to put this fabric down for the stand and make sure that I completely cover that placement line. And when I do, I'm going to put my foot down and stitch down this fabric. You got this. Okay, so now I want you to take the hoop off the machine, take it over to a table, and I want you to trim away all of the excess fabric from around the outside of that stitch line. And I highly recommend using a pair of curved scissors if you have one. You can tell it's curved upward, so that way it helps minimize the chance of you poking into the fabric and the stabilizer down below. Plus, I love these Havel scissors because I'm a big girl and they have really nice, comfortable, big finger holes. So they're comfortable to use. If you don't have something similar to this, there's a link in the description below to Amazon where I purchased mine. All right, so I'll trim this up. You trim yours up and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, that trimmed up nicely. So now I'm going to stitch the tray fill, which I also want to be in orange. So put orange thread up at the top of your machine and let's stitch out the tray fill. All right, it's starting to come together. Okay, so now I'm going to take the orange thread out of my machine and I'm going to put black because I'm going to do a black owl like Kimberbell did. So choose the color owl that you would like to do and put that thread up in the top of your machine. I was going to go purple and then I said, no, I'm going to go black because I have the black and white polka dot fabric and I thought that would look real pretty and cool with the black and orange with the black and white. So I'm going to do a black owl. So now we're going to stitch out his ears, his or her ears, which is only a 1 minute stitch out. Here we go. All right, so now we're going to take the black thread out from the top of the machine. And it looks like we're going to be stitching the placement line for the owl fabric, which is, in my case, this fabric, which is like a kind of a damask. But Kimberbell is recommending doing a dark gray thread because that's what eventually is going to be sewn around this owl. So I'm going to match that dark gray and put it on top of my machine. You pick the color thread that's going to kind of match what your owl is going to be like. If you did a purple owl, maybe you do a dark purple thread at this point, whatever color his tummy is going to be, because this kind of represents his tummy. So put that color thread up on top and let's stitch out the placement line for the fabric. Okay, so now I want you to take the hoop off the machine so you can see a little bit better what you're doing. And now you're going to place this fabric in that circle. Now this is kind of an opportunity to fussy cut if you want to kind of see where that fabric would lie. Like if I wanted this little damask accent to be in the center of his tummy, I could kind of position that. It's a little difficult, but it's doable. Or I could position it off center so some of this damask here is in his tummy. I think I'm going to go for this crown and the top part around and down. Let's see if I can do that. So my finger's there. It's kind of centered up a little bit. It's not going to be perfect, but I can kind of guide and kind of figure out where it might land and just go for it. If it's off-centered, it's off-centered. That's okay. So let's put the foot down and let's tack down this fabric. Let's see how it comes out. Not too bad. Well, I'll take it. Yeah, it's not quite centered, but it's pretty close. Okay, so now I want you to take your curved scissors and I want you to trim around all the way around the outside of that circle, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, that turned out okie dokie. I'm gonna go with it. Okay, so now we're gonna leave that dark gray thread up at the top, And now it's going to stitch around and kind of create all the owl detail here. So this is a 6-minute in real life stitch out. Put the color thread you want your owl to be in the top of your machine. And let's enjoy this stitch out. 6 minutes. Here we go. Okay, that turned out cool. Now I have a decision to make. All right. I do like the owl with the dark gray. That'll look cool. But now I'm thinking about switching up the thread for the base. Black, all black would be real cool and classy. So don't get me wrong. That's still an option. But I'm thinking. I'm actually thinking ahead is to making this accent around his eyes instead of the silver. So he'll have a little bit of the Haunted Mansion color on him, but just on his eyes. So if I did that, I could go either all black for the stand, which is going to accent this, or I could even go this color purple, which matches the fabric in my other blocks. Decisions. I'm thinking. This is the hard part. So you need to figure out what color you want your stand to be. I'm kind of liking this, because this would blend in with the other blocks in my collection, because this has the same color as that light lavender fabric I have, and I could do the whole thing in it, the base of the stand and the accents, and then this would pull in a turquoise. I'm going to do it. I am going to just be brave, and I'm going to go for it. I just want to be a little bit different, and I want it to blend with my fabrics. Black would be super classy. But I want to try this. You never know until you try something. You know, it's like make it your own. Choose whatever color thread you want your stand to be. And we're going to stitch this out. There we go. This is a 4-minute in real life stitch out. Be brave. Choose a color that matches your fabrics, but may not necessarily be black. And just see what happens. You know? Life's too short. Be brave. Try something different. All right, so now I'm going to put my hoop back on the machine. And we're going to stitch this out. Let's go for it. 4-minute in real life stitch out. Here we go. Oh yeah, I love that. That is a winner in my book. So I'm going to keep going. I think I want the scroll work and the base of the stand to be the same color purple. Yeah, I'm going to go with it. So pick the color thread you like, the rest of your stand, the base here, and this little scroll work to be on the side. Put that thread up on top, and let's enjoy this stitch out. This is a 7-minute in real life stitch out. Here we go. That turned out fun. I love that. Just change up a color every once in a while and see how it comes out. That's going to match really nice with my fabrics. I'm happy with that. Okay, so now I'm going to put white thread in the top of my machine because I'm going to be stitching out the background of the owl's eyes and an accent on the stand. So Kimberbell's using cream. I thought that would be cool too, but then I think I really want white to kind of match with the white of the fabric. And then the white would be a nice accent line on that cake stand, as I call it too. So let's go ahead and pick the color thread you want the background of your eyes to be. And let's load that in. And let's stitch it out. This is only a 3-minute stitch out. You got this. All right, here we go. Very cool. All right, so now we're going to stitch the inside of the eyes, which I agree, I think should be black. So I'm going to put black thread in the top of my machine, and you just pick what color eyes you'd like your owl to have and put that color thread up above. This is only a 1-minute stitch out. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to take my hoop off the machine right now, and I'm going to trim this jump stitch right here. I want to do it as I see them as it happens, because eventually this is all going to be covered in a plastic, and I won't have the ability to get to those. So what do you think? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to give this owl like a pair of glasses in this green. So he's going to be in a gray black with a little bit of green turquoise on him. And that also will tie in with the fabric I have in the rest of the quilt. So I think that'll be cool. So I'm going to take out the black thread. You pick what color you want the circles around your owl's eyes to be. Put that thread up on top. And this is only a 2-minute stitch out in real life. All right, let's do this. And no loop, or no, I have a loop. Get the loop out. The loop will wrap around your foot and break your needle or worse. So if you ever see a loop, get that out before you start. All right, let's stitch this out. Here we go. Okay, I want to get this piece of thread out here very carefully so he doesn't become an issue. There we go. Oh, I think this is going to be fun. Oh my goodness, I love it. Look at that. Now, is that a super cool owl? Seriously, I am in love with that. Just makes him quirky character, fun, and he color coordinates with the rest of the quilt. I think that's awesome. I am so glad I decided to play with that. Okay, so now we have a choice to make. We have to choose what color we want the, what's it called? I don't know if I'm saying this right, cloche, but I'm just going to call it like the glass cover on top of the cake stand. So if this is going to match the bottom, Kimberbell has it black and black with a black top. I think it would be cool to continue this purple line and have that be the accent with a purple top that kind of ties into that. I'm going to call it a cake stand. So I'm going to fill a bobbin with this purple thread, because they recommend having the same color bobbin down below as you do up on top. So I'm going to take a second and fill myself a bobbin with that purple thread, and you do the same. All right, whichever color you want the top accent here to be of the cake stand, that's the color thread you need to put in a bobbin, and we'll meet right back here. Okay, so I have my purple bobbin down below, and I am going to put purple thread up on the top of my machine so they match. Okay, make sure your machine matches. Top and bottom, same color thread. All right, so now we're going to stitch out the placement line for the clear vinyl. And while it's doing this, you can get this vinyl out of your embellishment pack. Kind of hard to see, but you can see it glistening and shining there. There are 2 pieces of this in your embellishment pack. Get the smaller of the 2 pieces. The larger piece we're going to use for the potions bottles. Get the smaller piece to use here for the owl and put that aside. All right, so let's stitch out the placement line for that vinyl. This is going to be fun. Here we go. Okay, so now before we put the vinyl down, we need to do a little bit of cleanup. We need to make sure that there's no loose threads underneath this area. And look closely and make sure that there's no jump stitches in any of this area that you haven't already gotten, because once you put down the vinyl, that's it. We're not going to be able to get anything out of that area. So once your jump stitches are good and you're all cleaned up, you can put the hoop back on the machine and then grab your vinyl, okay? And make sure it doesn't have any pieces of dust or lint on it. And I'm going to position this so that it has about 1/4 of an inch above all the sides. This has plenty of sides, because I want to try to maximize what I can get out of this vinyl. Okay, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit. You can tape it in place or just do what I do and grab my stylus and help hold it in place. I just want to make sure that it does not slip as it starts to stitch. All right, so again, make sure you've got 1/4 of an inch all around. And once it starts stitching, it shouldn't move, but I'm going to watch it. It's going to start tacking everything in place here. And we got this. And then it should not move. I just want to make sure it's still got 1/4 of an inch on this side. That's good. Okay, we are good. We are good. I can use my finger to hold down this side. There, or that. There we go. It's not going to move at this point. You are secure. That's so cool. Yay! And see, there's enough down here that I could get a second owl block out of it, or maybe even a potions bottle out of it. Yeah, because I have a little bit extra around, and that's why I don't pre-cut my embellishments. It's like I can maybe maximize and get another block or 2 out of the same embellishments. It's really cool. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the hoop off the machine. You're going to use curved scissors, and you're going to very gently go around and cut away the excess vinyl. Don't get too close because you don't want to nick those stitches. Okay, and this is raw edge applique, so there's no additional stitches around the outside edge of this. So get close, but not too close, and just cut cleanly, and I'll meet you right back here. All right, that's now trimmed up. And now I'm going to stitch the detail at the top of this cover, which I also want to be in that purple color thread. So choose the thread you'd like to have up at the top for this detail. Probably the same as you just tack this down with. And let's do it. Here we go. Look at that. Isn't that cute? I love how just changing up the colors and just making it your own makes it really truly special. I love that. All right, so let's go ahead and take this block over to the table and I'll show you how to finish it up. All right, that is a really cute block. I'm happy with the way that turned out. All right, so now all we have to do is we have to square this block up. And it's going to be squared up to 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches. And if you look at the block, look at the outer stitch line. The one that we used to tack down the fabric, that is what we're going to measure to see if that is going to be our cut line. And I think it's going to be. So if I'm going to measure from this outer stitch line to that outer stitch line, it's 6.5. And then if I measure from the top to the bottom, it's just shy of 6.5. So that's perfect. That's the line we're going to use to square up this block. So I'm going to turn it to the side so it's a little bit more manageable with my smaller ruler. And I'm going to go to that outer stitch line. Now this outer stitch line on this block is not straight. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the outer edge up here, which is where I measured it to, and then I'm going to use this stitch line and a line on my ruler to do my first cut. Because the stitch line kind of goes down and then it curves out, I'm going to go to where it curves out so that I get the most amount of fabric in the block. And can I see the stitch line? I can see this part under the ruler and this part right on the outside of the ruler. So now I'm going to make that first cut. Okay, so now I'm going to turn around. I'm going to use my mat now, and I'm on 17. My numbers are reversing, so I'm going to go down to 11.5. And I'm going to line up the ruler with my mat, making sure my block is on line 17 here. And I'm going down to 11.5. I'm trying to wear out this part of my mat, so I flipped it around so it's 24 over here and it's 1 all the way down here. I've already worn out that part. Now I'm trying to wear out this part, so I have to subtract. All right, so I'm lined up with my mat. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, it's just under my ruler. And I can go ahead and make that cut. Okay, so those two sides are good. I'm going to do the same thing to this side. This outer stitch line is straight, so we're pretty good on that, but I'm going to use my ruler on the edge here of this fabric to help line it up. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. That tells me, my mental note, that I'm cutting in the right spot and I'm not accidentally cutting in the block, which I don't want to do that. So 6, let's label it back to 17. 17, I'm going to go down to 11.5. Line up my ruler on the mat and also use this line on the bottom edge of my ruler. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, it's just underneath that ruler. So now you have successfully squared up this block. Isn't that cute? And I love the addition of the vinyl on top. That's really cute. All right, well, I hope you had as much fun today making this block as I did. And I hope you stay tuned here on Jolly Molly TV for more fun and more cute blocks in Kimberbell's adorable project, Pumpkins and Potions. And until I see you next time, take care and happy stitching. Bye-bye.